to another vlog of my YouTube channel, Data Science with Sam. Are you tired of going through several websites and looking for research paper or manuscripts related to AI or your academic research? If that's the case, and you're an AI engineer or an academic researcher, always spend hours and hours looking for good research papers, then this particular vlog is for you, because I'll show you how you can build a research assistant agent completely from scratch using CrewAI, GPT 5.2, and a Streamlit UI version that'll let you search for all the research manuscript for your day-to-day research work. This agent works like a real team. One agent researches, another agent summarizes. And most importantly, it's designed to work inside restricted enterprise environments where you have the control to block any web search APIs or anything as such. By the end of this video, you will have a working multi-agent system, a clean, production-ready project structure, a Streamlit UI on top, which will help you to build an app and also extend that to some other agentic workflow. And also, finally, a research report generated automatically from the real source documents. This is not a toy demo. This is how you actually build agentic workflows in the real world. So let's get started. Before we write a single line of code, let's talk about the architecture of this agent, because this is where majority of the agentic projects fail because they don't have a sustainable architecture. This visual workflow diagram showing you all the step-by-step process. First, it starts with an user layer level where user provides topics as well as the website URLs to the Streamlit UI app. Streamlit UI app collects that information and passes them on to CrewAI orchestrator. So CrewAI orchestrator is the brain of this particular agent, as this orchestrator is responsible to propagate the topic and URL information to the researcher agent. Based on the topic and the URLs, researcher agents goes to internet and collects all the relevant research papers. And then researcher agent passes those information to summarizer agent, and summarizer agent work on synthesizing all the information into summary report, and finally provides an output layer to the user from where user can download the report, as well as they can also see the information rendered on the UI app itself. So in technically, this is the two-agent pipeline. The researcher agent does real documents, readout, extract factual evidence, produces structured research notes, tracks sources explicitly. Whereas the summarizer agent never touches raw documents, only consumes whichever the researcher agents provides it to them, produces a clean, executive-ready brief. And as I mentioned earlier, CrewAI acts as the orchestrator, deciding which agent runs and what time, in what order, and with what inputs. And the final part is GPT 5.2 is the reasoning engine behind both agents. I decided to use GPT 5.2 because this is the latest and greatest model that OpenAI published recently. This particular agentic workflow is very crucial, and it's very important to have a separation among all this input, orchestration, and the output layer region, because it helps with preventing hallucination, and also it can help the observability and monitoring team to understand the traceability. And lastly, it mirrors how human research teams actually work. You cannot imagine that one person doing all the research paper collection and summarizing at the same time. So this whole agentic workflow kind of mimicking your research team in the first place. Moving on to the project structure. I already set up the project on Visual Studio Code. As you can see on the left-hand side, the folder structure, which starts with Research Assistant Agent, the root folder. Under that, you will see app.py. That's the main Python script for Streamlit UI. Requirements.txt is the file that holds all the Python library name. So you have to run requirements.txt at the beginning of the project in order to install all the libraries. Then the environment file.env captures all the secret key. Like if you're going to point to OpenAI API key in order to use GPT 5.2 model, you need to share that key over here in a secret environment. Then it also has an output folder that captures the markdown report generated by the UI app. And the final and the main important folder is the source that captures all the Python script for defining the main function, the crew function, the tools, and also capturing standard prompts that we are passing it to the CrewAI orchestrator for extracting all the research papers from different URLs. The structure is very intentional because source contains all the intelligence and it is the main root folder of that agentic workflow. That app.py, as I mentioned, it mainly captures the UI components. The tools are kind of isolated, and I did that on purpose to make sure that this framework captures a modular logics, and also the outputs are deterministic. In this particular agentic architecture also gives user flexibility to change the prompts in the prompts.py script and I'll tweak it to make sure that it can provide better output every time user interacts with it. And why this particular agentic project structure matters? Because you can run it headless, you can automate it, you can deploy it internally, you can also swap Streamlit for APIs later, and you can also extend it to build any sort of an agentic workflow utilizing N8N or Zapier or any other agent toolkits. This is more of like the future-proof agent system, and I would recommend you to follow this similar kind of project structure if you're utilizing CrewAI for building any agentic workflow systems for future work. Now let's set up the environment. CrewAI requires 3.10 or newer, but I would definitely recommend you to go for Python 3.12 for performance and compatibility. I already installed Python 3.12 on my laptop, but I would recommend you to go to Python website, download that installer file, and install it before you proceed further with the next step. Once you install your Python code and you're done with coding, setting up that application Python workspace and stuff, your next step would be to create the virtual environment. And for that, you have to dive. So the virtual environment has been created. And now the next step would be to activate that. The reason we are creating virtual environment is we would like to make sure that all components are resided within the virtual environment. If you want to upgrade your Python version, you can do it within the virtual environment without messing up your main system Python version. So that's why it's crucial to utilize virtual environment for making any sort of changes or upgradation or removal of any libraries within that secure environment itself. So this particular command will activate the virtual environment. Now the next step is installing all the Python libraries. As I already mentioned that the main requirements.txt file already captures all the information. So you just have to make sure that you captures all the Python libraries over here. As you can see that there are few Python libraries listed down in the requirements.txt. Let me tell you what is the main purpose of all these libraries. First of all, CrewAI Python library will be useful for agent orchestration purposes. Streamlit Python library will be using for building the UI layer. Python.env would be for secrets handling. Requests library will be used for document fetching, and beautiful SOAP 4 library will be using for HTML parsing. So these are the main purposes of all these libraries. Now we need to go ahead and install it first. As you can see, all the Python libraries are being installed now. this step, it seems like all the libraries have been installed. It takes a little less time on my laptop because I already installed some of them, some of the libraries previously. But usually if you try to install it for the first time, it might take 2 to 3 minutes to install. Now, one thing I would like to mention you that for this particular agentic workflow, we are not creating any vector database because I'm not storing any URLs or any research manuscript in the database right now. But in future, if you would like to create a database, I would highly recommend you to go with the vector database like ChromaDB, Pinecone, or any other stuff. And all the information that your researcher agent fetching from the website can be stored in that vector database. I'm also not utilizing any web search APIs here. I'm just simply using a very basic wiki HTML API. However, you can utilize other web search APIs such as Surfer APIs. In that case, I will highly recommend you to get the paid version of those APIs and store the API key in the environment file and use it for any web scraping or document fetching purposes. And so this particular agentic workflow is not utilizing any heavy infrastructure, so you can easily build it on your local laptop. Before I move on to giving you a walkthrough of the Python script, I wanted to give you a quick rundown of the environment file. This is a very simple environment file that I'm showing right now, where you're only passing OpenAI API key. I would highly recommend you to go to the OpenAI platform, generate a secret key, and just paste that key over here. So every time your CrewAI orchestration agent calls for an API or calls for an LLM model, you can utilize the secret key and invoke that GPT 5.2 LLM model for reasoning purposes. In the enterprise environment, actually, secret key maps cleanly to some secret files. Sometimes they do have a secret managers and stuff that embedded into their CI/CD pipeline. So at the end of the day, it's all about securing your secret API key so you don't get exposed to other platforms. And also, a general tip here is when you upload your code to GitHub repository, make sure that your OpenAI API key is not exposed there. So remove that API key even before you upload your code, your workspace to GitHub repository. Let me first give you a rundown of the tools for Python script, because that's one of the most important sections as it helps with performing all the web search for the agent. There are a few functions listed in this tools.py script. First is Wikipedia search. This function calls Wikipedia's official search API to retrieve the top element. And those elements are relevant to the article titles and URLs that user already passed through the Streamlit UI. The main purpose of using Wikipedia search is that it's going to help our searching mechanism much faster, as it's avoids some of the scraping mechanism, and also it does not require an API key. The next function is fetch page text. This function fetches a web page, removes scripts and layout noise, and returns clean, readable text capped at a set character limit. And the next function is write file. Write file taking path and content as an input. This function simply creates the directories if needed and writes the agent's final output to disk in a reproducible way. In the CrewAI tool wrappers, we are actually calling 3 different functions. The first function is search input. So this search input is defining the schema that receive the structure inputs for a search tool, ensuring that the agent always provides a query and result count. The second function is URL list input, which what it's doing is that it is basically defining the schema that validates a list of user-provided URLs, enforcing clean, predictable inputs for restricted environments. The last one is fetch page input, and this particular function is defining a schema that specifies exactly what page to fetch and how much text the agent is allowed to consume. In the wrapper section, we have Wikipedia search tool. This Wikipedia search tool function is defining that that how the agent search Wikipedia for relevant pages and return titles and links with a fallback when search is blocked. This is also very important because in case if the Wikipedia search engine somehow cannot find a relevant documents or articles, it'll return null. And the final function within that tool wrapper module is that use provided URLs tool. So this particular tool forces the agent to rely only on user provided URLs, making the system reliable in lockdown enterprise networks. So this particular agentic tools architecture is designed in such a way that it will have a modular framework setup and reduce some of the enterprise constraint. In future, if user determines to go with a different searching mechanism, for example, if the developer wants to change the Wikipedia search engine to a server API API engine, then they have to make changes only to this particular module and making sure that that function gets called by the main function. So this way we can minimize any overhaul of the code if we decide to move to a different search engine or different like web scraping mechanism. Now let's take a look at the agent definitions, which are defined in the crew.py script. As I already mentioned that there are two main agents in this agentic workflow system, and both of them are using GPT 5.2 model. The first agent is researcher agent. As you can see in the code itself, we are utilizing we are defining the agent using CrewAI's robust framework. CrewAI already have an agent function that you can utilize to build any different agents that you like. All you need to do is to define the role, the goal, and backstory. And also you need to mention the GPT model that you are trying to pass to that agent. Over here in the first agent that I defined is researcher. The goal is to collect credible sources and evidences for topic that we are passing through the UI, Streamlit UI, and we are also providing a backstory. Now, one thing I wanted to make sure that you understand that you have the power to change the backstory to your perfection. You can always provide more explicit instruction to create a concise backstory. But your general structure would look like that, where you can define as many as agents you want by calling the agent functions that embedded in the CrewAI library. Now, as I previously mentioned, this app is being built on Streamlit UI that will help users to provide topic and URL details on the app itself and running the CrewAI engine by just clicking a button. So this Streamlit AI is a Python native library. It's very fast. It's perfect for building any POC or just giving someone a demo. The UI, the Streamlit UI supports topic input, URL list input, run button, and also output filter. And I'll show you within a few minutes. It also captures some custom CSS, gives it a product grade level view, but also make sure that Streamlit is just a control layer. You can replace this with APIs, Slack bots, MCP server. You can create your own internal dashboard by utilizing any other web script language, or even you can use it. You can even integrate this agentic workflow with an N8N or Zapier system as well. So now let's start the Streamlit UI app. And in order to do that, you need to run a command. So this Streamlit run command calling the app.py that captures all the custom CSS and UI related components. All right, now let me switch to that screen where the app has already been generated. All right, so this is the app. As you can see, that this research assistant agent app is being built with a combination of CrewAI powered by GPT 5.2 model. And this app is being used for research and summarization purposes. Now, in the next section, I'll show you a quick demo of this app and how it can fetch relevant information or articles or manuscript based on the topic user provides it to the app. It appears that app finished generating the output. Let's go over that. First, it creates an executive summary in 3 to 5 bullet points that captures what is agentic AI and how it's shifting the enterprise automation, the workflows, the integration standards like model context protocol is also aiming to reduce some of the connection flaws and stuff. It also provides some key insights about what agentic AI really means, why workflows are the impact zone, and what are the foundational challenges or building blocks for agentic workflow system. Additionally, it provides you a competitive angle that's very relevant for any business leaders or C-suite level executives to understand how they can apply the agentic AI workflows to get the best out of it and also standardize the business processes. This risk and unknown section would be relevant for any security team, especially from the AI governance standpoint. And it also provides recommended next steps if someone, business leader, wants to implement AI agentic workflow, how they can go, what approaches they should follow step by step. Like it starts with validate ecosystem claims with primary sources, define high-level, high-value bounded workflows, design an integration strategy, implement security by design, and also operationalize oversight proportional to autonomy. At this moment, this summary report generates based on the Wikipedia search results because for this agent, we used Wikipedia and that bypass some of the API key constraint. However, I would recommend you to utilize any other web search mechanism or provide explicit URLs in this section. So that way this research agent workflow will provide you more, I would say, like industry-focused summary report. You can definitely play with this agent. I will share the GitHub repository. But before we do that, let's test another use case. So another use case I'm going to test is related to academic and research related stuff. As we know that the attention mechanism and their impact on model language model. So let's see how useful this agent is in terms of providing relevant information related to attention mechanism. So what I'm going to do is I'll pass this topic here, attention mechanism and their impact on language models. And I may provide an explicit journal information. Like, as you all know, that archive is very famous in terms of storing all the articles and stuff. So I want this agent to go to archive and fetch relevant papers or manuscripts related to attention mechanism and provides an executive summary according to that. I'll create another output name so that way it won't override the previous output report generated by this agent. All right, so let's take a pause for a few minutes and come back and see what level of executive summary report generated by this agent based on the attention mechanism topic. Let's test the app. First, I'm going to pass and topic here. The topic is how agentic AI is transforming enterprise workflows. There are a few more information that we can update in the app. For example, I don't want to add the source URLs. I would rather want agent to go and find out the information from the website itself. So I will toggle this button, which will tell the agent explicitly to do the web search by itself and fetch relevant information. Output file name report.md, which will be stored in the output folder after agent completes running the process. And finally, I'm going to click that Run Research Group button to call the agent, mainly the CrewAI orchestrator, to start the process. This process will take 2 to 3 minutes, so I would definitely recommend you to step out, grab a cup of coffee, and come back. and see how the agent give you a report or summary report of the agentic workflow transformation based on the topics that you passed on. All right. It seems the agent already created a summary report on attention mechanism and their impact on model language models. Let's read through that. It provides an executive summary, and the best part is it's also citing all the articles from where it collects information. For example, the first bullet point says that attention was introduced in NMT to overcome the fixed length vector bottleneck in encoder-decoder models by enabling a differentiable search over source tokens for each target prediction. Now, user definitely wants to know more about it and how it can, how the user will get hold of more information. That's where it's very important to cite some of those executive summary points that agent provides us. If you click on this link, it will take you to the main paper from where it fetches all the information. And so this is very helpful for any AI researcher or academic person that working on attention mechanism, or even wants to know more about large language models and its in underlying architecture. The key insight it provides that the why attention mattered initially because it removes that fixed vector bottleneck in sequence-to-sequence model. It also provides some of the competitive angles, risk that's the user or the academic researcher should be aware of. And lastly, it provides some recommended next steps. As you can see, it provides all the references from where it pulls information. So you can, if you're an academic researcher or you're someone who's working on AI research area, definitely wants to collect all the research paper from a reputed journal or archive. This particular process will take you hours and hours to collect all the information. So that's where this agent is so useful that it helps you to get all the relevant information along with the research paper links within like a few minutes. I would highly recommend you to download the code from the GitHub source repo and play with the agent. Provides more journal information, a journal website, and see how this agent reacts in terms of providing relevant information that a researcher needs for their academic work or even building a large language model from the beginning. So this kind of like file, this brings me to the end of this agentic workflow walkthrough session. If you like this video, this vlog, I will definitely recommend you to like, comment, and subscribe to that. What's the next step after this? The next step is you need to do a more fact checking of this agent. That's why it's highly recommended to download the GitHub source code repo, build that workspace on your local laptop, just fire that UI agent and see how this agent provides more information that related to your topic that you're looking for. I would highly recommend to integrate this agent with your N8N workflow if you want to build an agent that will provide a daily summary of certain research topic. You can also convert this into an MCP server if you'd like to do so. I will follow that. I'll provide step-by-step instruction to convert this into an MCP server in one of my future episodes. And finally, I would definitely encourage you to come up with more use cases and share your opinions on this agent in the comment section below. If you have any similar sort of use cases that for which you would like to build agents using CrewAI agentic framework, feel free to reach out to me. I am through Data Science with website and channel forums. So that's all for this particular vlog. I hope you enjoyed going through this walkthrough session, and I'm excited to see how many different kind of agents you build using CrewAI agentic framework. That's all for today. See you then, and thank you.